All right. Okay, so I know I ended last week's call. Oh gosh, here we go. The computer needs a charger. 1 second. Okay, she's getting me a charger. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we ended last week's call with me asking or telling you guys to ask yourself the question, how committed are you really? And so hopefully you guys kind of asked yourselves that a little bit and maybe had a talk with yourself about how committed you are to this. Okay, well, I need you to find it. Okay. How committed you are to this business and how committed you are to seeing success, and kind of visualize for a minute your goals and where you really want to get to, and how committed you are to make that happen. If you want to make a really great income where you can stay home with your kids, or whatever it is that you're dreaming about right now, you have to kind of ask yourself, how committed are you to that? And I think the importance of that is because if you say, I want to make, 6 figures, but I'm only going to give this 6 months, that just may not be realistic. So I think we need to be realistic with ourselves, be real with ourselves about how committed we are to it, how committed we are, what we're willing to sacrifice, whether it's watching our favorite TV show or an hour a day, working our business uninterrupted. We have to be willing to really prove that we're committed in order to see the results that we want. So I know I said that we were going to read chapters 2 and 3 as well as the intro for this week. Did you guys get that read, or have you gotten your books?
Yes.
Everybody gotten their books? Okay. So I hope you guys liked it. I would love to hear from those of you that got it read, some feedback from you. So if you want to unmute yourself, if you're muted, and tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what you thought so far, I would love to hear that. Anybody?
I'm actually still working on reading the chapter 3 because I have a paper due tomorrow. So I'm still working on it.
That's okay, yeah.
I've actually really enjoyed reading it so far.
Good. Thank you, baby. That's good. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. I think it's so great. It's one of my favorite books that I've read about network marketing. He's really, I think, a great writer, and he's very blunt and honest too, but I really like that about him, that he's kind of straightforward, and he gets right to the point. So some of my favorite things, we're just going to discuss it very quickly, but chapters 2, or the intro obviously just explains what the book's about. That's pretty self-explanatory. And why the intro kind of also talks about why network marketing is the best of the best, when it comes to a job, like why it's so different, what makes it so great. And he also tells a little bit about his story, which I really love. His story, it's pretty great. And I'm going to read just a quick snippet from it in the intro where he talks about that. This is the author speaking, obviously. When I got started, I treated my business like most people do, which is to say I didn't treat it like a business at all. I got in, I made some phone calls, hoping my timing and positioning was enough for me to get lucky and make a few bucks. And at first it worked. I did make some money, and it was exciting, although I have to disclose some to you. For those first few months, my entire strategy was to quickly call all of my dad's contacts before he had time. I thought if I called them, told them my dad and John Joyce were involved, and got them to a meeting or to watch a video, then if they were interested, my dad wouldn't fight over who got the credit since I was in his organization. I had limited success with this, but as you can imagine, it didn't last long. So 3 months after I got started, my network marketing income dried up. And when it did, my positive attitude completely went away. I started blaming everything and everyone for my lack of success. My upline wasn't giving me enough help. The company didn't provide adequate training. I didn't know enough people. No one would respect me because I was so young. I blamed the product. I blamed the company. I blamed the economy. I blamed everyone but myself. But I had big problems. Blaming the world wasn't helping to pay my bills. And I had walked away from real estate after that first commission check. It wasn't going to take too long to get a real estate commission check, and I had no college degree, so getting a decent paying job was out of the question. The only place I could go to create some cash flow was back to network marketing. So I put down my head and I went to work. At first, it wasn't easy. In fact, the first 3 years, I rebuilt my organization 7 times. I'd build it up and it would crash, and I'd build it up again and it would crash over and over again. I know this is sounding discouraging, but it gets better. After those 3 years, I was more than discouraged. I'd lost almost all hope. Then something happened that changed my life. Actually, it was a combination of 2 things. It was the night before a company convention, and I was watching a news program on television. The guest was an expert on a topic I can't recall now. What went through my mind was, how does a person become an expert on that topic? The only thing I could think of is they must have decided to become experienced, learn everything they could, read every book, talk to every person, and learn it so completely that they became an expert. The next day, I went to a company convention and watched superstar after superstar walk across the stage. And then it was like being hit by lightning. It finally clicked in my brain that if I truly decided to do it, I could become an expert at network marketing. I could focus on the skills, I could practice until I became an expert, and no one could stop me. Up until that moment, I was always looking for an angle. I was hoping to get lucky. I was hoping to sponsor that one superstar who was going to change everything. And I was scared I would lose my chance if it didn't happen soon. In an instant, everything changed. I realized I didn't have to worry about getting lucky. Timing and positioning were nice. Timing and positioning, where did I lose my place? Timing and positioning were nice, but not necessary for my long-term success. I didn't have to worry about my upline, knowing the right people, or anything else. All I had to do was become an expert. So I decided that day to change my focus and develop skills to become a network marketing professional. And it was that day that changed my life. So the reason I read you guys that excerpt is because that's what my goal is for my team and for you guys that are here and that are committed with me to rock in this business. My goal is for all of us to become professionals in network marketing, because I don't want to see you guys just make a couple pennies and then drop. I want to see all of us create sustaining, lasting income for our families, to make this a legacy business for us that we can pass down, that, you know, we can bless others with, that we can give big with. That's what I want this to be for us. So that's why I'm reading you that little portion. And that kind of sums up what this book is about. That's why it's called GoPro. His main focus is to train people. He's not with Plexus. He's just a network marketing professional. But his main goal is to train people to become professional network marketers. And I think that's the way for us to have success, is to learn to do this just as we would any other job or career. We would have to learn, right? And that's kind of what this is about. It's about teaching us how to be professional network marketers, not to be amateurs, but to be professionals. So, one of the things too that he talks about in chapter, is it chapter 2 that I'm in right now? Or no, I'm sorry, I'm skipping. Well, I'll tell you about that in a second. In chapter 2, he talks about the 3 types of network marketers. And he says there's posers, there's amateurs, and then of course there's professionals. And one of the things he says is that a poser is someone who treats it like a lottery ticket and they're hoping to hit it big. You know, if they don't find the right person, automatically a lot of people quit, and that's why we end up losing some that say they're ready to work, but they give up quickly. They're really treating it like a lottery ticket, and they're just hoping to hit it big by signing, you know, maybe a couple people. And then the amateurs are hoping for luck. They're hoping that they're going to just find the right person, or that, you know, it's going to come from just the right timing, that they're going to have to have joined the business at the right time. They're going to have just the right upline. They're going to have the right gimmick. Whatever it is, they're looking for luck in whatever it is that they find, but they're not really learning to be professionals. And then, of course, there's the third type, which is the professional, right? And so he talks a little bit, too, about how he's looking forward to the day that people realize that what we do may seem strange, but that it's strange in a good way, and that it's strange in a way that that's the direction that we're moving, that advertising is quickly becoming more of a thing of the past, and that you know, sharing things the way that we are is really the way of the future. And so he says he looks forward to the day when it's common for people to start hearing things like, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a network marketing professional. Or I'm in construction, but I'm also a network marketing professional. And he thinks that the more we can build our profession up in general and just the way we do business, you know, it kind of starts to make people realize it's not a pyramid scheme, that this is a legitimate opportunity. And so I think that's really important too. So like any profession, obviously we need to learn skills, right? We have to learn how to work our businesses efficiently in order to be successful. And so we have to also just take a minute and take full responsibility for our own business. It's easy for me to say, you know, I need my upline to do this or this. And obviously, you know, I'm here to support you guys any way I can. I want to be a help to you, to help you find success. But it's also important that we realize that we are the only ones responsible for our business. That you are the only one that Plexus is writing that check to, and you're the only one that's fully responsible for it. So it's important to take a minute at the start of your business. And I know some of us have been in this for a couple months, but just to take a minute and say to yourself, you know, this is my responsibility and this is my business. I'm the only one that can control my success. You know, we all have the same products. We all have the same compensation plan, but the only variable in that is you. And so you just really have to stop and ask yourself, if other people can be successful, so can I, if I become a professional the way that they have. So I really think that that's, you know, a very important key piece, you know, to the puzzle, if that makes any sense. So a couple quick notes that I just have written down. why should we want to be network marketers? I know you guys already signed up, so this may be silly, but I just want to build your belief for a minute and why we're choosing to do business the way that we are. No other business allows what we have, right? No other business allows time freedom. No other business allows you to be with your kids and yet work like this. There's always the option, I guess, of starting a traditional work from home business yourself, but then the comparison there is that there's a huge buy-in, a huge investment, and, a huge risk. You don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know if you're going to end up upside down. And that's what makes, what we're doing so unique. There is no huge buy-in. There is no huge risk. It's just the amount of work you're willing to put in is the amount that's going to come out. But we also have to tell ourselves that no other business allows for overnight success, and Plexus is no different in that. We have to be willing to put in that work. This is a learned thing. It doesn't come naturally for everyone. I just have to be honest and tell you, this did not come naturally for me at all. I'm not really a natural extrovert. I'm not really a natural social person. I'm not a natural leader at all. And I really have had to learn those things. So please know that if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or maybe you just don't feel like a natural, please know that that's normal, and that I think a lot of people have had to learn their way through this. And the great thing about Plexus is we can earn while we learn. We don't have to wait until we figure it all out to start sharing. But just know that, this is learned for most people. It doesn't come naturally for everyone. Let's see. I don't think I have much else to say. This is kind of a short meeting this week, but I just, it's kind of our introduction to the book. As the weeks go on, we have 2 weeks left. We will talk a little bit more about things from this book. The next week, I want you guys to read. Let me see. Hang on, baby. I think it's. I'm trying to remember which one. Oh, where am I? I think it's 4 and 5 is what we're going to go to next. Obviously, the next 2 chapters, but I'm trying to remember if one of these was 9 is gray and we skipped it the last time. No, I think it's 4 and 5. Yeah, so chapters 4 and 5 for next week. And those are going to talk a little bit about how to reach out, how to follow up. I know we talked a little bit about that in last week's video. I hope that those of you that weren't on were able to watch the video link that I sent and that it worked and everything, okay? So, be prepared, though, to talk a little bit more about reaching out and following up. And his system is really good. It's very comprehensive, so it may seem like a lot, but it's really good. He goes down to, like, what you do when you initially reach out to someone, how you follow up with the people, how to close the deal. He's very thorough, and he has a very good system. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But again, I would like to just end with a little snippet of homework. And I know that this one's going to be a little scary for everyone probably. Last week's was a little easier because it was just ask yourself, how committed are you? But this week I'm going to ask you guys to get out of your comfort zone. So one of the biggest things I ever did for my business was I created, and this was months and months ago. Maybe I'd been in the business maybe a month or two when I did it. But I created a video that I posted on my timeline that was called Why I Plexus, okay? And the purpose of it was to share my why with all of my Facebook friends, to tell them why I was using the products and why I was doing the business. Now, mind you, I hope all of you guys have a really powerful why. My why is very powerful because I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And it's something that not just has come recently. I have wanted this since my first daughter was born when she's 6. So I've wanted this for a really long time. So I cried, of course. And so I actually wrote mine down on a piece of paper, or actually typed it up and printed it out. And I even said it in the video, I'm going to try really hard not to be emotional, but I want to share my why with you guys because I want my Facebook friends to know, why I'm doing this. I want you to know why you see me posting, why you see me doing Plexus. And so I read my why from a sheet of paper literally on the video. Probably would have been a lot more engaging if I wouldn't have done that. But, that was what I had to do to get through it. And I still cried anyways. But that video really was a huge turning point for me. I had a lot of response come from that. My customer base started growing. And that's when my team really started growing. Several of you guys have come as a result of those initial team members that joined with me after that. And so I really encourage you. I know that's scary to a lot of people to do something like that. If you're not tech savvy and you need help, then ask your upline or someone to help you do it, to record you or to help you, figure out how to phrase it. And another thing you could do, of course, is to type it out and then send it to our message, and we can give feedback to each other, positive feedback, and maybe some constructive criticism to figure out what you can kind of change if you're planning to read it. But if not, if you're not planning to read it and you just want to speak from the heart, then go live, because you're going to get way more people watching it when you do it that way, because people get alerted that you're on. But I really want to, obviously it's your own business. You guys can do whatever you want, but I really encourage you to try to consider it and do that, because it really makes a big difference. It makes a big difference because your friends want to support you when they know that there's a real reason, that you're not just trying to make a quick buck, that it's not just about, making a quick buck to you, but that this is something you're passionate about. When you share your passion, that makes a really big difference. So that's my homework for you guys. Think it over. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to add? You guys can feel free to unmute yourselves and just chat for a minute. Anything going on in your businesses you'd like to share, or some ways you've gotten out of your comfort zone? You guys are so quiet. It's like crickets. I mean, that was the quickest thing. I think that was the quickest I've ever done a Zoom call in my life. I feel like I left something out, like I'm forgetting something, but that's probably good though. I know it's late and you guys are ready to go to bed. So be sure and get chapters, what did I just say, 4 and 5 read for next week. We'll discuss those. If anybody needs anything they need prayer on, I would love for you to tell me. If you don't want to share with everyone, send me a private message and I'll be praying for you. I pray for you guys anyways, but if you have anything specific. And I love you, ladies.
Love you.
Y'all have a good night. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.